After several weeks at some of our largest and fastest circuits on the IORA calendar, we're back to looking for the little things here on a Thursday night. Welcome back to the last great Coliseum. We didn't go here last season, we went here last in Season 4, and its well-awaited return is tonight. It's the Bristol Motor Speedway for the miniature 150, a 75-mile, 150-lap feature, which begins with qualifying already on its way, 11 minutes left in this session. This is the IORA Cup Series, and we are ready to bring back the action at tracks that aren't as quick, but still are just as intense. Here with exclusive coverage on FTN Broadcasting. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and right now, River Page is going to jump up to the provisional pole with Jim Thurston in second and Daniel Mosteller then in third. They're the top three in qualifying, separate by only 80-some thousandths of a second. Right now, Henry Kaloff going to finish up his lap. He is currently assigned to the fourth position. River Page still going to be up and ahead, and as he goes to pit road, Aiden Walker is now the man on track. That's the number 93. Walker still awaiting a chance for victory lane this season. Hasn't quite come his way. Daniel Mosteller with 2 wins on the campaign and 1 going to Alexander Balderas. Tonight, Walker's going to qualify provisionally in 5th with a quick time coming in at a 14.945. Every driver gets 1 lap here in a reverse practice order, and drivers that missed practice entirely will not be eligible to take a lap. Nathan Palawada goes 9th. Then and there, got another driver coming up, and it looks like immediately after Nathan, that driver will be leading us to the green flag. All 14 with the time in practice have concluded their run, and so qualifying is over. Defending champ River Page will lead us to the green. So 150 laps ahead of us here tonight, qualifying ending rather early as only 14 drivers set foot in our practice session, meaning only 14 drivers eligible to take a qualifying time tonight. You have to go into the practice session and record a lap to be eligible to go to qualifying with an assigned time slot. So the drivers who did get that first-hand advantage, 14 of 22, so just about half of the field going to get a chance to start up higher than they would otherwise. And first and foremost will be that number 24 of River Page. So let's get to learn your starting grid for tonight's race from your Season 5 champ on down. River Page going to be the man that leads the way tonight. It's the number 24 on top, and then with them going to be Jim Thurston. Gap between your top 2 drivers nearly a 1/10 of a second. It's about 800ths overall, and then 8,000ths behind Thurston. It'll be Daniel Mosteller with Henry Kaloff in P4. Aiden Walker is going to be 5th, and Corey Lyles is in 6th. Vincent Guecci 7th, and Beaver Serrano then in 8th. Beaver going to be the first driver to go above the 14-second threshold. His lap time coming in at a 15.004. Nathan Palawada 15.019, and Jason Sametto, rookie this season, is starting in 10th, 15.133, his best qualifying effort so far this year. You got 11th place. Then from there, that's going to be Chase Schaefer, and you'll have Marcus Vanderlei in 12th. Bryce Kohler will be 13th with Michael Deitch 14th, the last driver to take a time with a lap coming in at a 15.398. Then you have 15th and 16th. Alan Schugel is going to be 16th, and Wilkerson at P15. And a rookie in that number 71. That's going to be Corbin Collins with Alexander Balderas. Brandon Dugan and Will Shack will round out the top 20. Dugan, newest driver in the field. A Bryce Kohler coming in with a number 21 tonight. And so 2 final drivers on the starting grid. Those being Braxton Luger in the number 51 and Ari Tolliver in the number 79. Both of which not setting foot on track in practice nor qualifying. And they'll be at the tail end riding shotgun on the field tonight in the Bristol Motor Speedway. 150 laps, 75 miles. That's what it's going to take here at the last great Coliseum to succeed. Welcome back to Bristol here in IORA. Right now, pace laps in the middle of the field. River Page going to be up and in front based on our qualifying pylon. Daniel Mosteller, the last driver to win at this circuit, number 87, back in red, but still with that Fanta paint scheme, which has brought him much success so far this season. Currently, the two-time champ is the leading championship contender, and ahead of him are two other champions. Season 5 champ in Page, 3 in Thurston. The champs will lead us back to green here at the last great Coliseum. Welcome to racing in Tennessee, Bristol Motor Speedway and IORA. We are underway. So now it's going to be Jim Thurston immediately taking that lead, and it's going to be sliding up the track to 96 with River Page taking it back. So that back and forth action already going to begin here with 100+ laps remaining. 150 going to be on the docket for these drivers, and those early battles are going to be ever intense. Further back, Will Shack looks like he got squirrely, but should be able to put it together. And you can see now that number 31 just behind Alexander Balderas and Vincent Guecci. Caution for Braxton Whitaker. Yellow flags out for the first time tonight. 4 laps in out of 150. Looks like the 51 is the cause. Let's take a look back here and maybe see as to why Braxton went around or if something else caused it, as it'll be Whitaker involved in incident number 1 on the night. And Braxton looked to be at the tail end of the field behind Ari Tolliver, starting in what has become 21st and last of all those who took to the starting grid. It was Braxton on the bottom and Ari up top, and contact! Ari's going to take that 51, send it right up high. It looks like Braxton Whitaker not clear to go up top, and Ari not going to make an effort to move, and so Whitaker is going to end up with some damage there, albeit minimal, to kick off the night. The battle for last place is going to bring us to our first caution, and it looks like now driver's going to be pacing with only some 6 laps on their tire. Expecting this caution to be relatively inconsequential for the rest of the race. We got a lot of time still remaining here, so not anticipating this to mean all too much. You'll see River Page, Daniel Mosteller, 1st and 2nd. Then you got Henry Kaloff now, who's up in a 4th. Jim Thurston's still going to be P3, so the old champions find themselves now up on top of the board, and Henry Kaloff up next. Kaloff, who has proven quick here in Bristol. Last time we went to Bristol with the Xfinity cars on FTN, it was Thurston and Kaloff alike who were battling for victory. Henry Kaloff in particular had quite the up and down night. The number 63 machine had some leading lap moments, had some moments far out, multiple laps back on pit road. Jim Thurston able to lead a dozen or so laps, but it was eventually Jordan Kuntz who came away with the win. Jacob Wilkerson, who's also an SNT championship contender, missed that event, and right now, it looks like it's going to be leading the championship there. 3 victories, Jordan Kuntz. 2 victories, Jacob Wilkerson. 1 win to Vinny Tigner. He got it most recently at the Talladega SuperSpeedway. So, it's a little bit of a different outlook on the championship, as up top, there goes the 96. Down to the bottom is the 87 Mosteller. Here we go again, 8 laps in out of 150. And it's going to be our first restart relatively early. Hopefully, we're able to keep up some cleaner and greener racing. Leaders did a good job getting away. Rest of the field, well, unfortunately, not so much. So here's the time to change that. It's going to be the number 87 control car on the bottom. River Page has got it up top even still. Let's see who prevails in this opening restart. High side versus low, going to be a battle that we talk about all day long, and for this bout, it looks like the top side gets away. Leader River Page is going to have now a car length and a half over 2nd in line Jim Thurston, and Daniel Mosteller will have to pick up the table scraps here as we go barreling into turns 3 and 4. Page is up and ahead. Expect that slide job maneuver to be repeated many a time tonight. It's going to be something we see from the beginning to the end of this race. One driver is going to get the lead, but they're not going to have the momentum to keep it. Thurston up in the wall. Contact multiple times over. Aiden Walker's going to go spinning. So does Thurston. Big incident coming through 1 and 2. Caution is out. Schugel involved. Sametto, Aiden Walker as well. Caution. And it looks like additionally Thurston went sliding. So, yellow flag is out for the second time here. Many contenders involved, and I think we're going to be seeing drivers cleaning up the shop for the first half of this race, because you see Thurston get up in the wall through 3 and 4, tries to keep it together from there, but it just does not work out. It's going to be contact, and that's what really puts it into motion. Sliding up to the track, trying to keep it together, Aiden Walker stacking up with Chase Schaefer, and then and there, that's what we see next. You can see both the 93 and 96 sliding, and Aiden Walker, no question, getting the worst of it. There's drivers like Will Shack coming up, and it is a brutal area to be in this circuit. Turns 1 and 2. Even the 71 of Corbin Collins getting a piece. Jason Sametto, Aaron Schugel, Bryce Kohler. So even more drivers than we counted previously. You can see in this frame, 7 drivers plus the 8th of which being Thurston. 8 drivers at a minimum caught up in this wreck. And so, including all of which, nearly half the field getting collected in our second caution of the day. Corey Lyles is going to get right behind the 93, and it looks like going to help him out in getting the pit road, as he's going to have to use that fast repair rather quickly here, rather puttering him around for a little while longer. Daniel Mosteller going to be the driver that leads the way. Even under yellow, these laps go somewhat quick, coming in at about 50 seconds. So if this were to be a 150 lap race at Talladega, well, we'd be going at the 150 lap pace of a track like Bristol. 0.5 mile Bristol is, and 2.66 mile Talladega is. We're going so much slower, about 45 miles an hour when under pacing, but even then, these laps coming in at under a minute here, so not a lot of time to waste, even though now many a driver have to come down a pit road. You can take a look at drivers by the pit entryway, but in addition, we're going to check out who exactly is on pit road right now. It looks like most recently, Beaver Serrano, Corbin Collins went in, Marcus Vanderlee is getting up and out, and every driver, save for 2, in Bryce Kohler and Aaron Schugel, well, they find themselves off a pit road. And one that just got on is Brandon Dugan, 22nd and last registered driver. It looks like we have a full field with us, although it took us some 15 laps to get there. Yes, Brandon Dugan has joined the party. And good to see him with us. So, 87 of Daniel Mosteller will be the driver that leads the way so far, and a lot of time for him henceforth to really solidify that race lead. Hopefully, of course, he gets that time, and hopefully we see River Page continue to battle for it. Do not expect this race to be open and shut. As a matter of fact, that's one thing that we have seen, even with the limited green flag laps we have. This is going to be a turntable up at the front of the board. You're going to see drivers taking the lead. Then they're going to lose it immediately. They might fall back 2 or 3 spots. Hopefully, they don't replicate what happened with Thurston there in a falling back and then causing an incident. That could happen, but there's at the same time many other opportunities besides getting involved in something that brings out the yellow flag. Unfortunately, though, that was a stack up, and there was very little else that drivers like Schaefer and Walker could do to avoid it. Maybe now the warning has been sent to drivers. Race a little bit smarter here with more than 90% of this race still to go. Green flags out. It's going to be Daniel Mosteller once again, the high side, 2-0 on these restarts. And Demos gets away with a car length and a half. River Page is going to rely on the top side now to build some momentum, but not going to be on the offense immediately. Instead of working down to the bottom, it's going to be the defensive maneuver for Page to stay just ahead on Corey Lyles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vincent Guecci, last of which in the top 5 pylon. You got Nathan Palawada trying to pile on his own speed. He's up in 6th. Alexander Balderas with some major moves up currently in the top 10. Coming from a low of 19th and starting in 18th. Balderas is now currently up 11 positions on the day. Wonderful work so far, but hopefully he can maintain it, as now here comes Thurston 3 wide. Balderas on the bottom, and you'll see Braxton Whitaker in the middle. Both drivers give way, and Thurston's up to 7th. Talk about a rebound. Aiden Walker's coming through, and he's going to make his way now right into the heart of the battle. Corey Lyles able to make that similar 3 wide swooping move up top. Stack up. Balderas is very loose. Contact. 71 machine. Corbin Collins. Do we stay green? No, we do not. The rookie goes around, and the caution's out for the 3rd time tonight. 21 laps in. Corbin Collins is in large part the cause of which looked like a reaction, though, to Alexander Balderas. So yellow flags out. Balderas going to get up and high, and Corbin Collins sent by Aiden Walker. Jason Sametto gets away as company alongside the 71 largely comes away clean. Cautions out again, though, and a safety yellow at that. Luckily, 71 of Collins did not get involved with any other driver. It looks like some good placement for Jason just to go down to the bottom. Rest of the field gets away too. So Corbin Collins, Jason Sametto, drivers who were involved in that one, although minor, it's going to bring out another yellow flag, 3rd of the day, 23 laps in out of 150. And here in Bristol, things are getting heated, although I think they're getting a little bit too intense for the positions we're battling for. Mid-pack has been the cause of most problems. Leading drivers, first 5 or 6 have done a great job so far to open up this race. Back of the field simmering down, but it looks like from 8th to 15th is the heart of the pack. We're seeing double file. We're even seeing triple file, and in large part, that's coming from drivers trying to get that immediate recovery from their last incident. Jim Thurston going to be a prime example, and he was leading multiple drivers through what looked to be a 3 wide train, going up high on the likes of Alexander Balderas and Braxton Whitaker, and it looks like for Balderas, as soon as he tried to replicate that maneuver, didn't go nearly as well. But tonight, still a lot of time for drivers, even if they don't succeed early. And I think that's something that has to be addressed and tackled head on. Do not race over your head. You have that much time. You have so much time given to you. There's really little reason to race with too much aggression. And hopefully that's the message that is sent all throughout the cockpit tonight. Daniel Mosteller going to bring it down with what should be now only 2 laps to green. We'll go back again at lap number 27 out of 150. Mosteller, Henry Kaloff, River Page, Corey Lyles, Vincent Guecci, your top 5. And Lyles was making some big moves in the fight as well. It's going to be Marcus Vanderlee, another driver to look out for. We have 2 56s on track. Keep in mind the green one is Marcus Vanderlee. The red one is Corey Lyles here. So Lyles has a little bit more track position, both of which were aggressive on that run and barely got away from the impending implosion of the middle of the pack. And unfortunately, it really didn't go in a successful way for a guy like Alexander Balderas or someone like Corbin Collins. Luckily, Corbin is on the lead lap, 18th, and he's still with us. Minimal damage, if any, and so tires squealing gives way to just a little bit of a touch-up, get that new Goodyear rubber, and the Eagles are as fresh as they've been all night long. Collins goes low. Daniel Mosteller, once again, control car, picking up high for the 3rd straight time. Confidence is held up high today, and that's how it is literally anyhow. Daniel Mosteller, River Page, Vincent Guecci seem to be partial to that higher groove relative to the inside line and getting some great jumps out of these final corners, and it looks like that's going to happen once again. But Henry Kaloff keeps Daniel Mosteller honest. They'll be side by side and dead even this time into the opening corners. And good on Henry Kaloff, but just not enough momentum here. And already Daniel Mosteller sailing away as we're side by side. A little bit further behind, Corey Lyles there with the number 66 of Beaver Serrano. Beaver going to find himself working that top groove as well. From the floor to the ceiling, as we sometimes say, Bristol is packed. And another caution's out, 4th of the day. Looks like a little bit more damage further on back for drivers like Will Shack. Will's up in the wall, and the caution flies again. It's your 5th time tonight. Take a look back here, and we'll see what exactly caused the incident. Ari Tolliver up to Will Shack. Contact for the two drivers. Ari ends up catching a piece, as does one final driver, Aaron Schugel. 3 drivers involved in this mess, and fourth caution of the day. And looking back, Aaron Schugel's got some huge damage now to address. The front end is destroyed. The hood is gone. The front bumper looks to be shriveled up. So now there's little else he can do but putter down a pit road and try to find some repairs. And that's where you'll find Will Shack. Pit road's going to be busy once again, this time with a few lead lappers, but most importantly, the drivers who have faced continuous troubles have come in time and again. Jason Sametto now going to be down on pit road, as is Chase Schaefer. Ari Tolliver there once again, but that's by nature of the incident causing some damage. And so 30 laps in out of 150, this is a quick race, but in large part that is just by drawing this race out lap after lap. If these yellow flags didn't count, we'd be at something like lap number 5. Keeping in mind there's a significant difference between the amount of green flag laps we have and the amount of laps we run. In all honesty, I think we've gotten little under 10 laps under green out of what's been 30 plus recorded laps on the night. Slow and timely march of this event will continue on with about 2 laps to green this time by. Talking about our conditions tonight, well, weather's going to show you very mild. Relative humidity coming in at 77.2%. Track temperature at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And the ambient temperature at 69 degrees. Mostly cloudy nighttime skies, so the fans are going to be enjoying the weather, and I think the drivers will be as well. Most importantly for them, humidity with such low temperatures isn't going to be all too important to keep an eye on. And I think right now, with the way this race is progressing, and you can see that humidity slowly but surely perhaps decreasing, we're going to see this race condition-wise in the driver's favor, even if right now, well, these early laps have given them trouble. I think it's going to fall back into the hands of the drivers even more so than how it started tonight. As you see, slowly, by very small margins, that humidity drops, and it should continue to do so all race long. And predicting based on that by the time we hit the halfway point in this race, we should be about 72% humidity, maybe going to drop under 70, under 67 by the time the race is done. That remains to be seen, of course, and that depends on how many yellow flags we have. But this is our 4th already, and it's going to be 4-0. The control car takes it up top. Henry Kaloff will continue to remain defiant on the bottom. We'll see which line works out best. Best restart in the bottom groove came last time around, and it was led by Henry Kaloff. Let's see whether or not he can match your best at effort here with Daniel Mosteller sitting right up and ahead. Green flag is going to drop for the 4th time tonight, and not even close. Daniel Mosteller, perfect jump across the line. And now everyone else mired back is going to contend for that position. Daniel Mosteller makes it clear he is looking for his 3rd victory of the season and looking to come back to Bristol, his former stomping ground in Season 4, and win it all over again. Now it's going to be a little bit more side-by-side in the middle portion of the field. Michael Deitch up inside the top 10. He got ahead of both Braxton Whitaker now and Jacob Wilkerson, but it looks like Wilkerson is looking to take that spot back from Michael Deitch. It's the battle now for 10th, which rages on. 36 laps in, Jacob having to fall a little bit further back in the pylon than he'd like, but now it looks like he's got himself well put together. Went down to pit road about 13 laps ago. He's got newer rubber than every other driver ahead of him, and so now Jacob's going to decide to use that alternate strategy to help out his goal of getting up to the front of the field and being tonight's race leader. Nobody else ahead. So that's 10 drivers went down to pit road within the last 20 laps. The earliest of which would be Beaver Serrano, who went down 25 laps ago, or Marcus Vanderlee, who went down 24 laps ago. Nobody besides right now Jacob Wilkerson and rookie Corbin Collins that we're looking at went in within the past 20. And now those new tires might be warming in, of course warming up, getting in the groove. This could be an opportunity here for some big time position gain as the race goes on. Right now, those immediate results aren't quite as fruitful as maybe one would expect, but definitely making gains on a guy like Michael Deitch, albeit slight. It's going to be pivotal here as the race goes on. Incident in the back of the field, no, but Will Shack goes up high and looks like he's going to concede a position or two. Number 31 hoping to stay out of trouble after that last incident in which his front end got knocked off completely. What driver now who's going to be up in top is going to be Marcus Vanderlei, scraping the wall, and he has more damage now than I think we're looking at. The right side must be beaten up, and that it is. Suspension damage, so that's going to be critical for Marcus Vanderlei, and it looks like for him it will not be terminal, but he'll have to come down to pit road and take his one and only fast repair on the night. Vanderlei gets out of the way, but with trouble, and now Beaver Serrano looks like he is going down in it as well. For Beaver, it looks like some right side damage, and now it might be some suspension damage at that. Yes, it is. You can see the right front is going to be completely off camber. And so, it'll be the 66 coming in, taking that fast repair, going one lap down, rinse and repeat. Now we're getting some green-white checkered racing. No, we're getting green flag racing. Green-white checkered would come, though, if we keep on getting cautions. At the pace we're going, predictions would show 12 yellow flags on the day based on estimates from previous trends in the race, which relatively unrealistic, I would think, based on what we've seen. The first halves of these races and the second halves are night and day. Most often we see those drivers who don't have the short track experience or don't have the finesse to make it work out, they always fall to the wayside. They fall to the back of the field. They get out of the leader's way, whether that is because they're respectful or whether that's because they tear up their equipment. Usually the best drivers are laid to the front of the field just by the other drivers digging their own graves, unfortunately. That's what it comes down to. So survival of the fittest in the first 50, 60, 75 laps, and then from there, you'll begin to see that real racing, so to speak. But right now, there is no real racing. Daniel Mosteller, who is looking incredible to start the season, and maybe shades of that Season 4 Sean Conklin that we saw win the championship over Daniel Mosteller, and disheartening for Demos that his lowest ever points finish has come 2 seasons in a row. First time he ever finished second, Season 4. He finished third last season, and I think now he's looking to show that he is not going to be stomped around and toyed with, even though he is coming back as a returning driver. 2024 might just be the year Demos truly strikes back. Season 5, maybe not his best effort, but here in Season 6, the opening of the campaign anyway, magnificent. And that's not, of course, to put it lightly. It only matches up to the likes of prime Sean Conklin in terms of that magnitude of dominance. And what we've seen so far in Demos, he's doing it once again. He's up ahead 51 laps, and now the closest battle on the track is Vincent Guecci and Henry Kaloff and Jim Thurston alike. Take a look on board here with Guecci. Riding aboard now is a number 88. It looks like Jim Thurston might be losing some time over the past few laps. Gap between these two drivers has dissipated to now under a tenth of a second. Guecci a little bit loose that time around, but nothing too concerning. In all honesty, now it's clean versus dirty air, and for Thurston, although clean air is hard to find for anyone, it's potentially that slight advantage in terms of air that's giving him that chance to keep on defending, even if he is certainly losing pace relative to his companions on track. Alexander Balderas has some right side damage as well. Oftentimes we discuss the Darlington stripe. Well, it looks like tonight the stripe is coming alive, but not in the sort of playful way that we often describe Darlingtons. We often mention it, yes, but it's not really a race ender, not in isolation. But here in Bristol, you get a piece of that wall you're in danger. That's as simple as it comes. And it looks like right now drivers have to face the facts as Will Shack comes down and in. Looks like Will coming to pit road prematurely here. Let's see why. He has already used a fast repair, so any outstanding damage might be a race ender. We'll keep up with that as the night goes on. 58 laps in out of 150 here, and you can see time is passing by rapidly. Now, an important thing to note, 58 laps in, most of the drivers up in front, save for one Jim Thurston and maybe two Jacob Wilkerson. They've not decided to go down and into pit road. Of your top 10 drivers, 7 of which are on their original stint, and the only exceptions, Wilkerson, Walker, Thurston alike. So notably here, pit road is still well and alive. Even though we had many cautions to kick the race off, I don't believe that these drivers will be able to go all the way regardless of what strategy they chose. Even for the drivers that went in some 30 laps ago, if they are to go the rest of the way, they'll have to go 90 laps. And on tire, that is a death sentence. So pit road is going to be popular around the 70, 75 lap marker for every driver's stint, regardless of who they are. And that's really what it comes down to here. One final stop that remains in the way of drivers. Vincent Guecci right now in that number 88, finding himself just behind Jim Thurston. It is Champions Row up and ahead, and the only former IORA champion not competing with us today is Sean Conklin, Season 4 champ who came, saw, and conquered with an unbelievable season he had. He and Daniel Mosteller won 75% of that season just on their own two strengths. So yes, we had multiple other drivers, but none were quite like the 54 and the 87 alike, as Vincent Guecci makes that move nice and easy into position number 3. He's going to get it ahead of Jim Thurston now, as Thurston is pressured by Marcus Vanderlei. River Page hardly came out with a victory in Season 4. He only got one in the penultimate race of the campaign at the Martinsville Speedway, and perhaps a win like that is what turns on a driver's motivation to go for the championship. But Page lamented the fact that he was simply not on the level of the Big Two in IORA. If you're watching FTN often, you might get familiar with the Big Three in the Octane series, who have won at 95% of the races, but the Big Two doing it all without that one extra. They won 75%. And for Page, it just felt like it was demoralizing on the racetrack. And he was able to get a win, yes, but thinking about the fact that there were other drivers who were racking up just about 10 wins over a season, it's something hard to really put your mind around, and that was the next-gen era, mind you. So now we're down to the Xfinity cars again, which have brought us wonderful racing and a little bit more parity. But tonight, it's a reflection of the season so far. Parity has been rare, and Atlanta was the real only opportunity we got at it. Alexander Balderas is struggling significantly tonight. Started on the positive, but overall has fallen back, and the Houston native is our only other winner besides Daniel Mosteller this season. So he still holds the keys to the kingdom when it comes to getting that playoff berth, although he's struggling once again as he did in Watkins Glen. Although this is extreme a struggle. You can see right side is very much banged up, and we talk about those lap speeds. Well, not going too well for Alexander Balderas. As you can see, he is back where he started in 18th and might fall a little bit further, save for Marcus Vanderlei being 5 laps down. That's the only saving grace Balderas has, because right now he is dead even relative to when it all began. I'm sure he doesn't like that fact, though, because it really shows, if anything, things have gotten worse. Side by side, Page and Vincent Guecci. Vinny is fast, and he's making himself known. That's another pass. He got it by previously Thurston, and in only a few laps' time, he's made it now up beyond the threshold of the 24. River Page is going to have to sit back and let it happen, all the while Vincent Guecci, with 2 seconds remaining to catch up to Daniel Mosteller, might have a chance to maybe give that 87 a run for his money all the way up front. Nice to see the racing develop, though, as this is an opportunity we really would not have seen out of a driver who had a long-run car but just faced so many yellow flags. Getting his green flag laps, allowing us to open up the opportunities for drivers who drive it a little bit different at Bristol, maybe not prepared best for the sprint, but instead for the marathon. And right now for Vincent Guecci, he is showing just that. If you take a look off the tail end, many will chase, but none have passed. Perhaps right now the world's most hunted driver at the Bristol Motor Speedway, virtual or otherwise. Vincent Guecci, he has drivers lined up behind him trying to catch a piece. That's something they simply cannot do. One driver looked to be in a little bit of trouble there, although we can't quite catch a read. The 71 of Corman Collin gets away from whatever that little spark was. Otherwise, drivers will progress without incident 78 laps in out of 150. Jacob Wilkerson up high. He's in 5th now, looking for River Page. Nathan Palawada, interestingly enough, has made it up and inside of the podium. Jim Thurston has fallen a little bit further back, now going to find himself in position number 7 and is yet to go down a pit road on this stint. So Thurston is falling off, but it looks like Nathan Palawada is coming alive. And this is something we saw in Season 4, the phenomena of the drivers who we oftentimes overshadow in our coverage or the race lead getting a chance to succeed. Brandon Dugan was able to come home with a P2 last time we went to Bristol, so don't count out the underdogs because tonight they come alive often at short tracks, and Bristol is one of which. 3 wide here, the 99 Monster Designs machine at Chase Schaefer up top. Yes, a lapper, however, it looks like a quick lapper, quick enough to get by Thurston and Braxton DeWeese alike. Now it's going to be Braxton making his way through that 51, 1 lap down. Chase Schaefer made that pass for position. And so, even if the leaders have gotten away, there is still that underworld of positions and passes that must be made. Drivers analyzing the circumstance and realizing it's simple as this. 82 out of 150, less than half of this race remaining. Pit road is necessary. In addition, figuring out your last 50 laps of strategy is necessary. The triple-digit laps will be those that matter the most, and this is only a 150-lap race as it was in Season 4. You know now that the IORA Cup Series is on that mission to extend its races a little bit more so to provide drivers with a more realistic experience and a more immersive one behind the wheel. Now, as a result, we're seeing some of those extra 20 to 30 miles caked on in most races. Well, tonight, that we would not see because 20 miles equates to 40 laps and 30 miles equates to 60 laps, which would bring us up to about 210 laps at the very most. Keeping the short track short is giving us that wiggle room in case of incident, while also providing that excitement where positions are everything. And one position is going to be changed up big. River Page, the first of the contenders to make his way into pit road, 85 laps on the stint, and he comes down and in on lap 86, his first pit stop of the night and a significant undercut relative to the rest of the leading competitors. River's going to do something different and decide to adopt younger set of tire before anyone else. Nathan Palawada, P3. You'll see there's a number 56 of Marcus Vanderlee down to the inside. Vincent Guecci also there, coming out of turn number 4. Guecci is in 2nd. Nathan Palawada 3rd. Jacob Wilkerson is in 4th. Aiden Walker down to the bottom is in the 5th spot right now. Aiden right now doing a good job of just keeping himself calm and collected. 57 lap stint for him, so he's on a younger stint overall. Whether or not this stint is going to work out for him, though, comes down to how he plays these next 15-20 laps. This is where it becomes interesting because drivers who went down to pit road already, they have to figure out what they do so they don't come out at a disadvantage. Many a time you see drivers go in for that extra set and charge through the field. Walker has not yet been able to do so. Gap between he and leader Daniel Mosteller is some 2.5 seconds, so he hasn't necessarily been able to blow the field away, but instead finds himself now with a chance perhaps to just be a little bit better lap over lap, take these final few, and so move on next for the final pit stint, which will be very soon for him, some 20 laps if he'd like to go down again. However, Daniel Mosteller has now gone at 90 laps in total without even thinking of going to pit road, which means perhaps we might see some drivers go to lap 120 if, of course, Daniel Mosteller holds as an example of what can be done with tire saving and fuel saving alike. Gap between Demos and Vincent Guecci, 1 second now. It has been decreasing, and it has done so significantly over 20 laps. The gains have been marginal but real. Vincent Guecci, lap over lap, and for the first time all race long, you're going to see within the 1 second bracket. Not going to be under 1 second yet, but Daniel Mosteller has cut the gap such that a 1 second distance is all he needs to clear to get up there with Mosteller. Coming across the line this time by, well, the gap is even shorter, 1.05. That's about as low as it's been all race long. And lap over lap, it looks like now the favor is in the 88's hands. The New Jersey native coming out of a Watkins Glen race in which maybe not too spectacular. Tonight, a podium, that's a great thing, but a win would be even better. It is a rock-solid distance between leader and second place, and it has yet to change as we've been watching it over the last 4 laps. Mosteller now holding consistent. The question becomes, is it Guecci who's falling off? Is it Daniel Mosteller just putting a little bit more into it? Still remains to be seen here. With 97 laps in out of 150, 1 pit stop remains for the drivers up ahead. Up top, Daniel Mosteller is going to go. Now, based on how different this second half of the race has been to this point, estimates would show that if we have any other yellow flags, it would be 2 or 3 at the very most. And those numbers, of course, are based on the averages. And so far, over 100 laps, we have had ourselves 4 cautions, all of which came in the first 30 laps, yes, but over 100 laps, we've still had 4 cautions, which means predictions would show that at about lap 125, maybe you can expect something, although I think right now that would be not only not preferable to the drivers, but also it's something they are wanting to avoid 100%. This is now all about finishing the race under your own power, and Vincent Guecci going to do that. Vinny goes down after 100 laps on the stint. Moreover, so does the number 63 of Henry Kaloff. Quick move down and in for Guecci. 100 laps. That's what can be done. Daniel Mosteller decides to stay out for 101, and maybe he'll go a little bit longer. And the goalpost is ever moving as a driver like Mosteller stays out on track like this. Gap between Heat 8 and Walker is 2 seconds here, so it's interesting to see Daniel Mosteller decide to stay out. Perhaps now you're starting to understand that maybe this race can be done on fuel, but the risk comes down to tires. Well, that's something you have to keep in count all throughout these races at short tracks, where your tire deficit will bring down your speed by more than 10%. Think about this. Best lap for Daniel Mosteller run as a 14.819 in this session. One of the very few drivers within the 14-second bracket, and the driver with the fastest race lap on the day. His last lap came in at a 16.318. So, that being said, and the averages, if they were to hold true, he is losing 2 seconds every lap. And if the average driver is running a 15-second lap, he's losing a lap to the drivers around him every 7.5 laps he travels. Now, that's not to say that tire wear won't get to those other drivers. Yes, it definitely will, but you'll see this. Daniel Mosteller continues to wear down those tires slowly but surely. And the caution's out. Yellow flag's out for the 5th time tonight. Reason going to be further on in the field, and it looks like now as we take a watch, back half drivers look to be just fine there. Alexander Balderas still going. Yellow flag is out. Aiden Walker slow, but primary cause. Now going to see whether or not the blinking Aaron Schugel had anything to do with it here. Trying to figure out what brings this yellow flag out. 107 laps in out of 150. And taking a look overhead, you'll see the number 78, you'll see the 55, and then you'll see the 17 of Michael Deitch. Aiden Walker, yes, the cause. Yellow flag's out, a little bit of a slide, nothing major, and yet that brings out the caution, ending what will be our longest green flag run of the day. Wonderful run it was, but now 5th yellow flag is out, so we're pacing once again. The leader is going to be, according to timing and scoring, Aiden Walker himself. So interestingly enough, the driver who just went around sliding is the driver who's now leading. .43 laps to go from this point. Got a little bit of time now, so drivers are going to take it down to pit road, and let's see now how strategy plays out. Page comes in, Schaefer comes in, Dugan comes in, all of which who most recently came in. They're now going to double up, and those who haven't, getting a free pit stop, so to speak. New race leader on the timing sheet will be Daniel Mosteller with the perfect opportunity to get it up in front. 1 lap old stint for him. Jacob Wilkerson more the same. Vincent Guecci 8 laps on his run, and so differences are going to be minimal up and in front. A little bit of time now before we go racing once again. We'd like to thank our friends at iRacing Motorsport Simulations for their leading sim racing program. Since 2008, 16 years in the making, iRacing has been the pioneer for online simulating motorsport in any discipline. Be it stock cars, open wheel racing, endurance, dirt, road, and whatever you'd like. From the historical classics to contemporary motorsport, iRacing has you covered. Visit iRacing.com for information on how you can register at the end of this summer season with discounts of over 30% off across all memberships. We'll be back after a word from our friends at iRacing with 40 laps to go. It's going to get intense here at Bristol when we come back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And in perfect time, the iRacing pace car decides to say hello to pit road, and Daniel Mosteller says hello to restart number 5. 40 laps remaining, and time already ticking down as the 87 takes the race lead. It'd be the 96 of Jim Thurston in second, and Jacob Wilkerson ending the top 3 as he roll out of turn 3 and 4. Michael Deitch sliding further back of the field. Caution will fly again. Brandon Dugan, Marcus Vanderlei, Bryce Kohler all involved. Cautions out. 17 the primary cause. 6th yellow flag of the day. So based on those old predictions, well, coming up to 125, and we just got that 6th yellow flag. So let's see what happened here, as it looks like just a simple half spin. Schugel able to avoid it. Balderas not so much. Bryce Kohler is going to spin in almost a reaction to it, and it looks like Marcus Vanderlei with significant damage as well. Alexander Balderas gets away, but that doesn't mean he does so unscathed. A little bit more damage for him, and a little bit of contact for Braxton Whitaker alike. Yellow flag is out again. It is your 6th incident of the day. And so now we are going to pace once more with 114 laps overall taken. Daniel Mosteller's the leader, and it looks like he still has that jump off the restart, which gave him such an edge early on. And it looks like he's using it once again. 3rd win on the season, maybe on the horizon so far for the driver, the 87. And what a start it would be with a 75% win rate to kick things off, and almost trying to resemble Sean Conklin's 50% end-over-end win rate from Season 4. Just a year ago, Sean Conklin got the job done in the IORA Cup Series, and he simply put every other driver to shame. And that's something that, of course, Daniel Mosteller has done before, but IORA looks different from Seasons 1 and 2. We've gone to this track many a time before, and we've gone to shorter tracks in that older era. But we've got a more competitive field than ever before. And it is no wonder now that these drivers are putting him more to the test, and yet he still succeeds. And that's where the question really lies. What is the it factor for a driver like the number 87 here, understanding his job is not done yet? It's only just started, and he's off to a great start at that. Going to be 1 lap to green very shortly. 33 laps to go at the very most. This is what it's all about here. The number 87 of Daniel Mosteller working it low. Jim Thurston right up high. Question becomes here whether or not Daniel Mosteller can defend on level tire. A majority of the field now not going to be spaced out by 30 or 40 laps, but instead by maybe 10 or 15 at the longest distance between pit stops. And with cautions coming out very frequently in the last 10 or so laps, tires are going to be cooled down to a very, very similar rate. Not going to be a problem with regards to being on that 15-lap-old set compared to the driver around you who's on a 9-lap-old set, because you really have only put about 2 green flag laps in across the 2 stints. The difference is negligible, and in all honesty, I don't think anyone really has much an advantage. Maybe yes, in those later laps, those early tire wears will begin to impact more, but it's unrealistic to say that's the case now. Wilkerson to the bottom, as is the 88. That's going to be Vincent Guecci. Here we go again, 32 laps to go. So 33 remaining here, and it's going to be Daniel Mosteller, Jacob Wilkerson on the top and bottom. Fantastic job for Daniel Mosteller tonight, but the job is far from done, and this is when it gets intense. The best drivers are lined up again, and everyone is, relatively speaking, on the same strategy call. Green flags out, rev up those engines, let the 87 take them through 1 and 2. Demos will lead Thurston on the high side. Wilkerson to the bottom. Up top, Guecci is sliding. Does he save it? It looks like he will, but now Corey Lyles gets squirrely as well. Gonna see drivers losing some confidence in these cold tires, and that's what happens sometimes when you push him a little bit too hard. Tonight, Highline Racing League might just go to Bristol Motor Speedway as well. The call has not yet been made, but it is a double short track night live on FTN. So if you would like to join us with additional coverage, yellow flag, maybe contact up the track, Braxton Whitaker. That's your 7th of the day. Yellow flag is out. Michael Deitch, Aaron Schugel and company bring us back to pacing again. And we caught that little wiggle in the corner of our eye and wondered, would that be a yellow flag? Well, it looks like maybe one driver saved it. Whitaker, unfortunately, not so much, and the caution flies once more. So take a look at this. Number 51, Braxton Whitaker, found himself on the bottom, loose, and he was going down to the inside of the track. Overcorrects. 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers overall, including Braxton Whitaker, caught up as a result of this little kerfuffle. Daniel Mosteller, Jim Thurston, and Jacob Wilkerson, all of which holding it together up in front. 28 laps to go. So now a few other drivers going down a pit road, maybe some of which going to get a new set of tire, although even still with few yellow flag laps being broken up by even fewer green flag laps, these stints are still going to be relatively young. Mind you, drivers went upwards of 101 laps on their stint previously, and that's why Daniel Mosteller is here on only his 2nd set of tire and his only pit stop entry on the day. Let's talk about the pit stop count so far tonight, see who's gone when, and let's try to explain why. But there's one outlier. 9th place Jason Semedo has gone down 6 times tonight. And I can't say all that was for tire. Definitely not all for fuel. He's gone down 6 times, the most of any driver today. 5 times for Chase Schaefer, too. Keep that in mind. Across them, both 11 times down a pit road. That's in the top 10. So 15 times between Semedo, Walker, and Chase Schaefer. The rest of this entire top 10, if we count it very quickly, has only come down and in a total of 9 times. The 3 drivers are responsible for about 60% of all pit stops inside the top 10. Interesting to see that even though most of these drivers have gone in once or twice at the most, some drivers have been able to break the trend and get up in front regardless of those earlier struggles. Going to be 25 laps to go when we go back green. 22 laps to go. We are due to crank it up, but now you got to hold your breath to see if we even make it 3 laps under green. I'm sure we will be as we round 3 and 4 once again. Standing capacity tonight here in Bristol Motor Speedway. The seats are packed. 50,000 strong at the virtual circuit and the strong crowd on FTN. If you got a favorite driver, shout them out as we go back at it again. Green flag's going to fly. Daniel Mosteller leads us up top. For reference, that high side is 7-0 so far in control car and getting the jump. No driver safe for Henry Kaloff has even been able to combat that dominance tonight. Looks like a little bit of a hop for the 99 is Schaefer, and an odd one at that as he gets a little bit of damage, although not involved with River Page at all. Up and ahead, Daniel Mosteller going to find himself race leading. Then you got Wilkerson and Thurston, P2 and 3. With 22 laps to go this time around, we're going to crank it up with the caution coming your way. Yellow flag's going to fly. River Page caught up again. Corey Lyles involved. And a final hit for Page, and a nasty one at that, Aaron Schugel. Yellow flag's out. We will postponing. Crank it up. Take a look at this. Number 24, River Page, going to be involved in it. So up top, the number 24 was with Chase Schaefer. Maybe he began to go side by side and a little bit too close for comfort. That's net code. Then Kaloff avoids, but nope, for 56 of Lyles, he can't. Schugel then sends River Page almost down to Marcus Vanderlee. Marcus very close there to getting involved entirely. Take a look there with the number 56 of Marcus Vanderlee, because I believe there, the only thing that stopped him from getting contact was turning on the brakes. You see him get loose to start. This is just before the incident occurs. Stop and go, not a penalty, and that saves Marcus's race, I believe, based on the fact so far that he has used his one and only fast repair. Any front-end damage would be critical, and to avoid it is equally so, but in a positive direction. '87 to Daniel Mosteller, 43 of Jacob Wilkerson, and Jim Thurston, 1, 2, 3. Chase Schaefer, we mentioned, he is one of those outliers who has done so far a wonderful job in performing regardless of the struggles all throughout the season. Of course, pit road, the aggression of drivers, that's something that's come up so far, but I also think the type of track we've gone to has enabled that sort of racing. Intermediates are going to be coming back to IORA very, very soon. The bread and butter of a stock car racing season, well, we have not yet gotten to it just yet, and that's really the substance of a campaign such as this one. Kansas will be coming up very soon. It'll be coming up next week, and with it will be 120 laps of intermediate racing, 19 laps to go this time by. Kansas, Charlotte, Michigan, Homestead are going to be the next 4 races, and it's an American Homestead homestand until we move on next to international racing on October 24th, and Talladega going to be our final race of the first leg of the tour before we move on to the very tail end of the campaign. 19 to go. It's going to be Mosteller, Wilkerson, Thurston, Schaefer. It'll be 17 laps to green when we go back at it again. The last great coliseum, embodying so far everything that we've come to know of short track racing, the good and the bad alike. Luckily, we've gotten a lot of that good to start the race with that long green flag run, but a little bit of that bad is seeping in once more with the oh so many yellow flags. $18 to go, and it'll be 17 this time by. Mosteller, Thurston, Wilkerson, Schaefer. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to crank it up here with iRacing's best camera, TrackCams22.com, providing broadcast level quality for all types of racing, including the track and car you're seeing tonight, and there's no other choice better on the iRacing market than Track Cams for Gourmets. Visit their website at facebook.com/TrackCams as we are going to crank it up now with 17 final laps left from the last great Coliseum. That was brief, and it ends because of Jacob Wilkerson, who just spun. You saw there 136 laps in. 2 drivers spun on that run. Marcus Vanderlee first and foremost, but he does not get the chance to get that immediate caution. But up in front of the field, Jacob Wilkerson goes around in a similar fashion. Let's take a look back and figure out what just happened. Looks like just drifting out of turn 2, and he's going to make it down, and then as a result, a self-spin and a lonely one for Jacob Wilkerson. Caution is out with 13 laps to go. It is the home stretch now. No avoiding the fact that this is it. 43. Now I'm going to have some front-end damage, and luckily for his sake, he has used its fast repair, yes, but I believe now it's minimal damage up in front. Could have a chance to continue if he'd like. Now, whether or not he chooses to, that remains to be seen. It looks like, yes, Wilkerson will go on. That damage is not terminal, but it's definitely going to be detrimental in the last dozen laps coming up next. '96 of Thurston, 87 of Mosteller, the 88 of Vincent Guecci. Well, we've had 2 constants all night long, but look at who's up in front. We were going to mention Vincent Guecci, but there's also that number 96 of Jim Thurston now getting a chance to lead. He's led 6 laps today. Daniel Mosteller has led 122. But who's leading now? Thurston is. Mosteller is not. Simple as that. For the first time tonight, it looks like Jim Thurston now has an opportunity to make something happen. And perhaps he'll lead the final 11 and take it home all the way. Up top, Bryce Kohler going to get a lap back. He's 35 down as we speak, finding himself in position number 19 of 22 tonight. Only 3 retirees despite the chaotic nature of this race, especially in the later half. And so, well, we mentioned it, that middle stage, fantastic. Now, it seems like things have gotten a little bit dicey again. 9 laps to go when we go green once more. Bottom side will be that of Thurston's, if he so chooses. But I think he'll take up top, and Daniel Mosteller will either be left with the bottom, or it will be the number 96 and the 87 up on top again. Mosteller is going to go down to the bottom here, as it looks like Thurston decides to go at it himself on the high side. Vincent Guecci, a little bit of a bobbling back and forth with Aiden Walker getting up there alongside the number 12 of Jason Semedo. Jason having a good run tonight, even as a rookie. He's in 5th on this restart, and in that 3rd lane, maybe an opportunity as he has himself for a first career top 5 finish. Here we go again. Jim Thurston going to be leading, and he's got himself up high. Daniel Mosteller, the 87, right down low, as the iRacing pace car might have just said goodnight for this race. 9 laps remain. Green flag's out. Thurston's going to bring us back in ahead up to the front of the field. The 96 goes toe-to-toe with Daniel Mosteller, and the fight for the lead has only just begun. Double spin at the back of the field, and it looks like the yellow flag will fly again. Cause of incident. It looks like Alexander Balderas and the number 56 there, Corey Lyles with Marcus Vanderlee. Quick caution, and another one that brings us down only 5 laps to go. Take a look back here and see what happens with Alexander Balderas. 95 going to be further on back. Vanderlee slides first, and Corey Lyles too. You see there, Balderas just has to go up top, and so Aaron Schugel also gets damaged. Jacob Wilkerson, Schugel. Looks like Marcus Vanderlee right there too, and Bryce Kohler. So 4 other drivers involved in this one. And so now there's really little else we can do but fight till the end of this race. 7 laps to go. More drivers go down to pit road, but it will be the number 96 of Jim Thurston up and ahead. 87 of Daniel Mosteller second, and Vincent Guecci there in third. 1, 2, 3. And still, Demos was not able to make that way around and collect the lead again. Six laps remaining, so if we have any other cautions on the day, the most important thing that we're going to see, of course, is a green-white checkered. Still possible. Overtime finishes will be determined, of course, whether or not we get a yellow flag next time around, or anything beyond. 5 laps to go, that's the point of no return to get a yellow flag and bring it to the overtime. Now, anything else, of course, almost a guarantee we go overtime. With this very small amount of laps that we have remaining to begin with, where we had a caution come out with 9 to go, we're on the bleeding edge. But it looks like we'll have 3 green flag laps to finish it off. Daniel Mosteller, Jim Thurston making their final chances. Of course, happen here and now. Final choice first and foremost, with the 96 going top, and Daniel Mosteller once again going right to the bottom. Green flag is going to go with only a mile and a half left. 3 laps remaining. Only leading these past 10 or so laps. Jim Thurston now with a chance to come away with victory here in Bristol. But first and foremost, we got to make it to the white flag to seal the deal. Short of that, we'll go to overtime finishes at the last great Coliseum. Green flags out now. It's going to be Jim Thurston up top and Daniel Mosteller down low, side by side, and a dead even start for both of which, leaving their respective lines behind. Page loose, 3 wide, further on back. Daniel Mosteller on the bottom, though, holding on strong, but it's going to be best for him now to just get in line and figure things out for the next lap. If he wants any chance, he'll have to stay in tow and give Thurston that advantage. You do not want to go side by side for an extended period. White flag coming up next. 1 lap to go. This race is official. Daniel Mosteller has led north of 120 laps today, and it looks like at long last Thurston finds himself ahead. Not to be denied to turns 3 and 4. Jim Thurston will come out of the final turns a winner at long last. Mosteller denied, and Jim Thurston wins. Coming out of nowhere in the past 130 laps, you didn't see him. In the final 20, he was the man to beat. Thurston wins from Bristol. Wonderful job by the 96 team. And Jim wins from the last great Coliseum. And it looks like Thurston here, a little bit of damage at the very end of his celebration. Nevertheless, a win to remember. First of the season, and he came out of nowhere there at the very end. Strong all day, but the strongest at long last. It'll be Jim Thurston coming away with the race win here in Bristol. Second place is going to be Daniel Mosteller, and third of which, to end the podium, of course, tonight, Vincent Guecci. A great race for the 88 crew, and he will come home half a second back there in third. Fourth place is going to be Aiden Walker, with fifth and in there being Henry Kaloff. P6 to River Page, and seventh spot to Jason Cimento, who finds himself in a pretty strong spot for a rookie who came through, qualified in the top 10 and finished there as well. Beaver Serrano going to be P9. Nathan Palawada just ahead in 8th, and Shea Schaefer concludes the top 20. You got then 11th place for Jacob Wilkerson and 12th for Corey Lyles. 13th place is going to be Alexander Balderas, and 14th will be Aaron Schugel, with Marcus Vanderlei 15th, and then Brandon Dugan in 16th, Michael Deitch P17, P18 for Braxton Whitaker, P19 for Bryce Kohler, and Corbin Collins 20th position, one of 3 retirees, including the final 2 drivers, Will Shack and Ari Tolliver. And as such, the night comes to a close. Yellow flags at the end, but the checkered flag falls for one, and it is a 96 tonight. Overall, in the final 4 laps, he was your leader. In those last 18, he got his due. Jim Thurston wins from Bristol, and at long last, the 96 joins victory lane here in Season 6, and felt like forever here from the end of August to the end of September, and a first chance at the checkered flag, and the 96 team grabs it quick. Tonight, turning it around the tail end of the race and winning in Bristol. Thurston, victory lane is yours here from the last great Coliseum. How does it feel?
Oh man, we wanted this one in Bristol so bad, man, and we finally got it. It's been a long time coming here in IORA. Every season we come here and we're like, man, we can win this race, and then we end up losing it somehow. But this season we finally got it done, man. Just thanks to Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports, and just, oh my God, I can't believe we won that.
And you mentioned it, so much speed. We've seen you here time and time again, close to coming out with a checkered flag. But tonight, things work out just right at the very end. Played strategy just about as good as the dominant Daniel Mosteller, but you were able to flip the script there in the last section of the race. So first and foremost, you led through the final 20, a majority of which anyway. What got you up there, and how did you retain it?
Yeah, we got up to the front pretty quick after we got tires on this thing, and then yeah, we were second for a little bit on those restarts, and we would choose behind the 87 because you get a better restart most of the time when you start behind the leader, just because it's hard to time on the inside. And Wilkerson passed me on one of them, and then got second, and he decided to go right behind most like I was doing. And then I got the bottom right there, and because I mean, you know, I'm not going to start third on the outside when I can start first on the bottom. And yeah, we did that, and we timed it really well, and we just jumped out in front of the 87, just a little bit off of turn 2. We had some more yellows come out. I think we would have won it anyways if it went green, but then some more yellows came out, and it helped us out a little bit on those restarts. Once we could get cleared that 87, you know, he just couldn't catch up anymore. He needed some laps on the tires really to do much, but yeah, we ripped that top there real well, and we won this thing.
And a perfect way to finish off tonight here in Bristol. Some cautions in between. Only 2 pit stops you made overall on the night, and looks like strategy relatively simple. How do you feel tires affected you?
Tires, they weren't that big. They were kind of big, you know. The set that I started like the first 100 laps on, I spun basically, and they lasted up until that yellow pretty well. I wasn't fast on them, but I mean, they lasted. And yeah, then we got some fresh ones on, got even with the field, and we were just lights out.
Getting even and getting away. Now, next up is a track you won at in Season 4. We're going back to the intermediates, and first and foremost, it's going to be Kansas coming up next. A few more traditional ovals here before we end our first leg of the campaign. How are you feeling about heading back, of course, a little bit to the southern end, still the country, but we're going a little bit westward this time.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any mile and a half, especially Kansas, that's a really strong track for us. And yeah, I'm super excited. Just got to say sorry to the shop guys back at the system. I kind of wrecked it after the checker doing the burnout. This car likes to turn left a lot, and you know, I turned it left a little bit doing the Polish victory lap, and it just didn't stop turning left again. So yeah, sorry to them for the wadded up race car, but we won.
And a big victory at that. First on the season, Jim Thurston getting the job done in Bristol. Any final shout-outs or messages you'd like to give out?
Just again, thanks to Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports for the incredible race car today. We're going to bring another incredible one next week and the week after, and we're going to try to win as many races as we can.
And looking for victory lane more and more. Thurston getting the first this season, and here in Season 6, winner at Bristol. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Daniel Mosteller, second place. A little bit of an opposite circumstance. 122 laps led. and yet wasn't able to come out with victory here. And 2 wins already, so it's maybe not a heartbreaker, but I'm sure it's a race that he would love to have won. Daniel Mosteller, great pace today and a great result, but I'm certain you must have been looking for a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty good to say to be disappointed with the second place after leading over 3/4 of the race. Don't really know what I could have done differently there. I was restarted in the lead so many times that eventually the guy on my inside knew when I was gonna go because I restarted in the lead for almost every single restart up to that point, and Thurston timed it well, and then I had to push harder than I had normally pushed because I really had no competition on the restarts, and I just slipped up once, made one mistake all race, and it ultimately costed me a win after dominating the race. Disappointing, but can't really be mad with second place and most points out of everybody in the race.
You mentioned it, that one and only slip-up cost you there, but first and foremost, let's talk about the race as it was. Only one pit stop for you, went 100 laps in that first stint leading. How were the tires and the clean air, first and foremost, dealing up at the head of the pack?
Yeah, I felt pretty good up at the front. I initially was running the bottom, and I started to build a little tight, and I moved up to the middle lane and the top lane, and I felt really good, and I was pulling away, and I think a few guys got within a second of me about 70 laps into that run. But I pulled away again, and we got that yellow, and yeah, we had the string of restarts to finish the race, which was unfortunate because when I did lose the lead, I felt like I was faster than Thurston. I just needed some laps to go by, but fortunately the trash cans in the back kept wrecking, and never really got a chance to get a decent sized run to end the race. But that's the product of Bristol, unfortunately. We'll go on to next week. There's always next week, and not bad to start the season with 3 top 2s.
And certainly finding podiums many a time, and 2 wins already. Kansas, another track we're somewhat familiar with here. Looks like you've been confident with the performance of your 87 Xfinity car so far. Now we're going to those 1.5 miles, which are the bread and butter of this season. What do you think about, of course, moving back to our more traditional tracks?
Yeah, I feel a bit more confident this season compared to last season, but I still feel like I'll be I think a step behind the likes of Thurston and River Page. I don't really feel like I'm as fast as them, but I'm usually able to claw out good results. So hopefully that will play into the hands of me. The Xfinity car had like a overhaul, and it's a lot more dependent on the right rear. It doesn't really have as much grip, so you're sliding around a lot more, and I like a loose race car, so hopefully that spices some things up, and maybe will open up an opportunity for me next week.
Maybe a chance to go out there and seek one position higher, but a third podium in 4 races and 122 laps led at that. Daniel Mosteller, if you have any final shout-outs you'd like to give, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mason, for off-tracking, running the league as always. You for broadcasting. Congrats to Thurston on the win. I'm pretty disappointed, obviously, but we had a good battle last week, and he got his win on the season, so that's pretty good for him, and we'll go on to next week.
Here we go again, looking forth to what's next. Daniel Mosteller, P2 here from the last great Coliseum. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Demos on the way. One last driver, Vincent Guecci, cracking the top 3. And it looks like Vinny not currently available. We'll get a word, though, with the 88 and see whether or not we can speak with him once more. 88 of Guecci in 3rd. And then you had Daniel Mosteller, who came in as your 2nd place finisher. Winner is Jim Thurston. So let's see what happens here. If we have Vincent, we'll talk to him, and it looks like that he did. Unfortunately, the number 88 machine not going to be available for tonight. Just like that, we will unfortunately wrap things up prematurely. The 88, though, no laps led, but let's talk a little bit more about that race, just to give you some more insight. Not able to lead a lap, however, the highs and lows of Guecci's race were evident. Started in 7th, finished in 2nd. Currently, of course, it says 3rd, so that's a little bit of a slip-up. It says 3rd. Finished P3, high of 2nd, low of 20th. And timing will show you Guecci was all over the place, but finished strong in P3. And Vinny has given us one text message to read out. He said, "Say that I was cool and awesome. And that he was. So, Guecci will conclude our podium ceremony here in the IORA Cup Series, finishing third from Bristol as Daniel Mosteller finishes in second, and Jim Thurston wins here in Bristol. The last great Coliseum never disappoints, and once again tonight, thoroughly entertained by the short track action we find in Bristol, Tennessee, almost every season here in the IORA Cup Series. Now, very soon, of course, we'll find ourselves going to a short track in about a half hour's time with the Highline Racing League as the Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series could go to Bristol. They might go to Martinsville. They might go to Iowa. We still don't quite know, but it could be the track that we just saw here for 150 laps. Watching Season 6 of the IORA Cup Series, race number 4 on the campaign, the Miniature 150, live from the Bristol Motor Speedway. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always thoroughly appreciated, and if you'd like to join the racing you see on your screen tonight, well, scan the QR code on your screen, join the official FTN Broadcasting Discord server, and we'd love to have you step aboard. Of course, the FTN community, free and open to all. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll see you in the Highline Racing League broadcast very soon. You've been watching exclusive coverage from the Bristol Motor Speedway. We hope you have a fantastic night.